Switzerland, 1975. In the foothills of the Swiss Alps, near the town of Hinwil, a UFO descends out of the sky and softly lands without a sound. Shortly thereafter, a female pilot exits the ship and walks over to a man who appears to be waiting for her. Where was she from, and what did she have to say? The Pleiades, also known as Messier 45 and the Seven Sisters, are one of the closest star clusters to Earth, located between 385 and 450 light-years away. The Pleiades are located in the Taurus constellation and have been well known across many cultures since ancient times. They are widely regarded as the best-known star clusters due to their striking appearance in the night sky when viewed by the naked eye. Although referred to as the Seven Sisters, the cluster actually contains thousands of stars. The majority of stars in the Pleiades are B-type blue stars, which are very bright and extremely hot when compared to our Sun. The blue Pleiades stars emit most of their energy in the invisible, ultraviolet part of the spectrum. In the case of Alcyone, it is 10 times larger, twice as hot, and produces 2,000 times more ultraviolet radiation than our Sun. Because of these extreme conditions, no forms of life exist in the Pleiades star cluster. There are no plants, animals, human beings, or even spirit forms on the planets in the Pleiades. The system is too young, too hot, and is therefore a completely inhospitable and uninhabitable region of our galaxy. So, if life doesn't exist in the Pleiades, then who has Billy Meier been in contact with? Since his youth, Billy has been in contact with extraterrestrial humans that come from a star system called Plejaren, which is located an additional 80 light-years beyond the Pleiades we see in our night sky. Moreover, the Plejaren star system exists in a different dimension or space-time configuration than the one we live in. Our universe, all of the stars and planets and everything in universal space, exists in a single dimension, or what could also be called a space-time configuration. Along with our dimension, there exist 6 other dimensions, all with their own stars, planets, galaxies, and universal space. All 7 of these dimensions exist in the exact same physical space, but are separated into different dimensions or space-time configurations. The Plejaren star system and its inhabitants live in one of these other dimensions, not in the one we live in. The Plejaren developed an advanced technical device that allows them to travel between their dimension and ours in order to visit the Earth. This dimension portal is located about 80 light-years beyond the Pleiades we see in our night sky. Not only does this dimension portal provide for easy transportation between our dimensions, it also serves as a communication channel so the Plejaren can maintain communications between the 2 dimensions. The Plejaren come from the Plejaren solar system, not from the Pleiades that are visible from Earth. Therefore, they are not Pleiadians, even though this was their original designation given to them in the early contact reports. This clarification of where the Plejaren truly come from was intentionally held back because they knew many people would claim to be in contact with them. Even today, there are many people who, because of their desire for fame and fortune, claim to be in contact with the Pleiadians. Ultimately, the reality is the Pleiades are completely uninhabited and Pleiadians don't actually exist. Despite many misconceptions and fabrications about Pleiadians, the real Plejaren are human beings just like us. However, their civilization is much older than ours. The Plejaren are approximately 8,000 years ahead of us technologically and about 30 million years socially and spiritually advanced. The Plejaren home planet is called Era and is very similar in size to the Earth. They do have some larger cities with multi-storied residential buildings, but nothing like high-rises or skyscrapers. The Plejaren prefer to live in the country and away from the city. Each of their single-family homes sit on a fertile plot of land of about 100 by 100 meters. Their homes are spherical or semi-spherical in shape and are made of strong metal alloys or a synthetic material similar to silicon. The areas between residential plots are well-maintained parks and gardens crisscrossed with walking paths. There are also spaceports at central places around the planet for cargo and passengers. There are no streets on Era, and there is also no traffic and no environmental pollution. Each home has their own beamship that will quickly and noiselessly shuttle them to anywhere on the planet. Each home and beamship, all food and drink and all the necessities of life are provided free of charge. In fact, there is no such thing as money on Era. Instead, each resident completes 2 hours of work per day for the good of the general public in exchange for everything they need. This daily work for the general public isn't restricted to a particular time or place. In other words, there is no clocking in or out, and the work they do from day to day can change. One day, they could rake leaves in the park, and the next day, they could supervise androids in their factories. Each person, through their own self-responsibility and sense of community, decides how and when they complete their compulsory work for the day. After their 2 hours of work is complete each day, they are free to spend the rest of their day as they please. However, the Plejaren don't just waste their days away. Most Plejaren study and learn up to 30 different professions or fields of knowledge. For the entire planet of Era, only one single government exists. Their government consists of 2,800 spiritual leaders who function as a regulatory and executive body. These spiritual leaders accept and then disseminate advice from the High Council, which consists of half spiritual, half material beings. The High Council only provides advice and never issues commands. It's always left up to each individual person on whether to follow the advice or not. However, as a rule, each individual Plejaren follows the advice of the High Council because they understand the value of their guidance. The main food of the Plejaren are fruits, vegetables, and meats because they're omnivores just as we are. Many of their daily fruits and vegetables are grown at home in their gardens. As for their meat, they don't slaughter a single animal. The Plejaren have developed methods to grow meat from cell cultures through an accelerated process. In this way, no animals are slaughtered on their planet. The language of the Plejaren is called Sarat and is the uniform language for their whole planet. The Plejaren belong to a federation of many different worlds and civilizations, and they use a universal language called Samti to communicate with friends and allies. This language is used throughout their federation so that people of different worlds and cultures can easily communicate with each other. From early childhood, all Plejaren learn both the Sarat and Samti languages.
A common question I get asked is, why don't the Plejaren show themselves with a public landing or get in touch with various governments? First, the Plejaren are governed by a directive which bans them from showing themselves to terrestrials. They are also prohibited from interfering with the events on the Earth in any way. This directive remains in force until the people of the concerned planet, in this case the Earth, have reached a state of peacefulness and humanness and have an understanding of their interconnectedness with all life forms. it should be obvious to everyone that those conditions don't yet exist on the Earth. This also means that the Plejaren will not save us from ourselves or intervene in any way if we decide to blow ourselves up in a nuclear war or other worldwide catastrophe. Secondly, this non-interference also applies to the free will decision-making of each individual person. This is connected with the photographs, 8mm film, and other evidence provided by the Plejaren and Billy. This evidence was designed and specifically tailored in a way that it would not and could not be accepted as 100% true. If they did provide 100% proof-positive evidence of their existence, then this would go against their non-interference directive and take away the free will decision of the individual. This means that if we were to have 100% proof-positive evidence, we no longer have the free will to decide if the Plejaren exist or not. The free will deciding factor would have been removed by the evidence, and their directives prevent this. In addition to these first two reasons, 𝐏𝐿𝐴 told Billy in the third contact report that, without exception, all governments on the Earth consist of people who are power-hungry and greedy, and under the guise of peace and friendship, would try to steal their beamship and other high technology and use it to further subjugate people and for purposes of war. 𝐏𝐿𝐴 also said that because of their high evolution and technology, that many people on Earth would elevate them as gods and make themselves subservient to them, just as it was in past Earth history. Also, millions of people would become hysterical, afraid, and unable to cope with their lives if they finally found out that there are other, more advanced civilizations besides them in the universe. These are a few of the reasons the Plejaren don't show themselves publicly. Now, when the Plejaren do decide to contact someone on another planet, they always only contact one person and never anyone else. So all these people claiming to be in contact with 𝐏𝐿𝐴 or any other Plejaren are either mistaken or confused. In fact, 𝐏𝐿𝐴 quoted an Earth proverb that most people have heard: "Too many cooks spoil the broth." This has the same meaning in their culture and is why they only contact one person. The individual they select must be spiritually and consciously advanced and must be absolutely trustworthy and reliable in every aspect of life. If you're not familiar with Billy's 22 years of education and training prior to his contact with 𝐏𝐿𝐴, click on the link here and it will take you to the video, Who is Billy Meier? Since the age of 5, Billy has been educated and trained by advanced extraterrestrials in order to help prepare him for the contacts and for the writing of his books, collectively entitled Teaching of the Truth, Teaching of the Creation Energy, Teaching of Life. This teaching is why the Plejaren are here. The Plejaren are a highly advanced and fascinating society. They have come here to teach and provide recommendations on how to live our lives. Although we can't see and meet with them, through Billy's writings, their knowledge, wisdom, and recommendations that have been delivered to the Earth are undeniable. Thank you for joining me on this second video in our introductory series on Billy Meier. Keep an eye out for our third introductory video next month, which will be about what are their goals. Thank you for being a subscriber to the Billy Meier Books YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next video.